It's time for our Sandbox story. Now remember, Miss Kristen has a rule that you have to use your imaginations because Miss Kristen only has so many figurines. So some of our figurines you're going to recognize from our story yesterday, but they are going to play different characters. Okay, so let's use our imaginations. So our story today starts off with two priests. And these two priests were upset. Ooh, falling over. These two priests were upset. They were worried that if people were to follow Jesus, what's going to happen to them? So they decided to make a plan. They wanted to get rid of Jesus for good. So they decided, let's take Jesus to the governor, Pontius Pilate. He can get rid of Jesus. So they took Jesus over to Pontius Pilate. When Pontius Pilate saw Jesus, he asked, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus didn't answer. Pilate thought kings ruled over countries and people, but Jesus knew that his power was about loving God, not a kingdom. Jesus' kingdom was not the same as Pontius Pilate. Pilate was frustrated. Some people wanted to kill Jesus, but Pilate didn't think Jesus had done anything wrong. Pilate didn't want any trouble, so he handed Jesus over to the people. And the priests smiled, knowing that they got their way. Soon Jesus would be gone, and Jesus knew that he was about to die. But that wouldn't be the end of the story. Jesus knew God's plan the whole time. It was a very sad day, the day that Jesus died. The soldiers that arrested Jesus teased him for pretending to be a king. They took off his outer robes and gave him a crown made of thorns. The soldiers made Jesus carry his cross. But it was so heavy that he ended up tripping and falling to his knees. But there was a man in the crowd who was nice enough to come and help Jesus. He picked up the cross and he carried it for him all the way. When it came time, the soldiers took Jesus and they nailed his hands and feet to the cross and lifted the cross up between two other men. These men were thieves, and they were about to be crucified as well. One of the men was angry with Jesus. "If you are so powerful, king, can't you save yourself and save us too?" But the other man, the other thief, shouted back, "Don't you know who this is? This is God's son. He hasn't done anything wrong. We are being punished for our mistakes, but Jesus shouldn't be here. He did nothing wrong." The man turned to Jesus and asked, "Will you take me to heaven with you?" Jesus looked at the man and loved him. Jesus told him, "Yes, today we will be in heaven together." After a while, the world grew very dark, as if a terrible thunderstorm was coming. It was as if all of creation was crying because Jesus was about to die. Jesus was feeling all alone, and he prayed to God to see if he was still there. Of course, God never left Jesus. God was with him the whole time. Jesus looked out into the crowd, and he felt sad. He felt sad that the people didn't believe that he was God's son, and he asked God to forgive them for killing him. The soldiers offered him some sour wine, but Jesus did not take it. He did not drink or eat anything for several hours. Finally, he was ready to die. Jesus fought for a very long time, and he asked, God, the work you have given me to do here is finished. He breathed a final, long, slow breath, and then he died. According to the Bible, a man named Joseph, who was secretly one of Jesus' disciples, decided to ask Pontius Pilate permission to take Jesus' body. Once Pontius Pilate believed that Jesus was truly dead, he allowed Joseph to take Jesus' body. And so what they did was they took Jesus' body off the cross, and they had special spices and aloes that they used to cleanse the body before burial. So they took the body, took aloe and some of the spices, and then they wrapped him in cloth until his whole body was wrapped. And then Joseph found a tomb and put Jesus into the tomb. And then he rolled the rock to close the tomb. So that's our story for today. I hope you join us next time when we continue our story on Easter morning. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.